Hey everyone, Anees here from the Business of Archviz. Today I have a very special guest, Matteo Ferrari from Forma Studio. He was here for the mastermind. I also have another special guest, Lasse Rode. He has his own studio, Lasse Rode Studio, and Lasse and I are going to introduce Matteo to you. And I hope you enjoy this meeting. Hi, Matteo. Please introduce
Hi,
yourself to the audience
hello everyone.
and tell us a little bit about Forma Studio, how you started, when you started, like from your early days until today, and how you evolved through the years until this point today, and what comes maybe later
Yeah,
to for Forma.
of course. First off, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Matteo. I started as an architect years ago, but I didn't really like what I was doing. I literally didn't. Um, I became a licensed architect. I worked as one for a few months, and I suddenly realized it wasn't cut for me. I didn't like it. It wasn't my passion. What I was doing in university wasn't what I actually liked. And during the university, I started learning SketchUp, AutoCAD 3D, AutoCAD 2D, V-Ray, Rhino, and all the 3D softwares that most people, find quite boring. And I fell in love instantly. It was quite fun for me, boring for others. So I was the 3D guy in the competitions, in the presentation. I was the one doing 3D. Um, and that passion kind of grew with me along the way. So when I finished the university, I realized that, that was my passion. So that's what I wanted to do. So I decided to quit architecture in a way. I mean, I still work in architecture, but in a different path. I went to Venice, to the state of art, like many other artists. And it blew me away. It's been an amazing experience. I had tons of fun, learned a lot. And the day I finished the course, I had a flight for UK. My now wife was in UK, so decided to, UK was the best place to learn and to grow as an artist. So I flew there, one-way flight, and I've I've been in UK. I worked in UK for almost 6 years. The first few months were just freelancing, learning new things, working with different companies. But it was very. This is something that many artists go through in the beginning. They don't really know if going solo is the good, solution, or working in a company is a good solution. Both ways, leads to different path. Um, Interesting both. I've been in both, so I can actually speak for experience. And then I started working in Cityscape. I've been there for a year. Then I moved. Then I changed. Then I found different jobs, and then I ended up in Arcanine, where I've been for almost 4 years, 3 years, and something. Um, After that experience, I just wanted to go back to my roots, my family, my city, Genova. So again, one flight for Genova, we went back and I started freelancing, fully freelancing. I didn't do anything else than become a full-time freelancer. And it, it again, that experience taught me so much, but also that working solo can be extremely challenging. And this goes for every freelancers out there. I feel your pain because it's very, very tough as an industry. Um, but being solo was really what I wanted to do. I wanted to grow my own studio. I wanted to be my own boss. I mean, you listen to this, you know, famous sentences of being your own boss makes you free. Yeah, that's true to a certain extent. But being my own boss still to this day is really what I wanted to do years ago. That was my own, my ultimate goal. So I decided to move towards an agency, move towards a studio. So I decided to stop being freelancing with other companies and started to grow my own circle of clients. When I'm saying clients, I mean direct developers or architects or anyone that works directly with us as a studio. And this led to Forma Studio. Forma Studio, I think, was born 1 year ago, 1.5 years ago, almost two actually. Ups and downs, obviously, and I decided to put that together without any idea of what that would lead. To this day, I don't know where this will come or this will go, but it's a very fun experience so far. And yeah, so basically we're here, and I'm really excited to see what the future will bring. But very in short, this has been my experience in the past 8 to 10 years, and it's been quite I've been in both sides of the same industry, and it's quite fun, quite interesting, challenging industry. But yeah, again, short summary.
There is one point when you said I was doing the course at the State of Art Academy, and I went to the UK. That was said. Yeah. And you started freelancing before you became an employee, or working with the studio as a full-time artist. How did you get those freelancing jobs in the beginning, in the early beginning? You have just finished the course and you went to a complete new country. It's not even the native language. Introduce yourself. How did you manage to get those freelancing jobs, then going into as a full-time artist?
Yeah, that's a good. I think I skipped that part, but when I moved to UK, I didn't have a secure job. I didn't have anything. I didn't have a portfolio. Literally, I didn't have anything because I was done with the state of art, and before then, I didn't even think about putting together a portfolio. So in the other day, I went to UK without anything. I had a laptop and tons of ideas. So what I decided to do was to take 3 weeks of time. I literally scheduled those 3 weeks to be from start to finish. I wanted to build a portfolio, and it's been intense because I had so much to learn and so much to put in practice from the state of art, from the experience I had before university, projects I wanted to do, that putting together all the things at once, it took a long time, much longer than I actually expected in the beginning. But fast forward, I managed to put everything together, piece together a portfolio. And I actually did two things. First thing, I was living close to London, and London was the best place for visualization. It probably still is to a certain level. So I took a train, I went there, and I started knocking on different doors.
Visiting them?
Yes, in person. This was the first thing I did. Not really successfully, even because people are very busy, and you are there as a junior. I mean, you don't go there offering a tons of experience. You go there because you still have to learn. So it was, something came back. Like, I had a couple of projects coming from there, but I was going by weeks. So people were booking, projects with me for a specific timeline, 1 week, 2 weeks. I was going there most of the times because I was living close, so I was going there. The second thing I did was starting to puzzle together people knew me or that I was in contact with, and sending them emails. I started doing this. Do you need some help, or do you know someone that needs some help? I literally was asking for recommendations or help in that specific thing. And a few things were quite funny because the people didn't really need my help, but probably because I was very spontaneous and very genuine in offering things. And I was literally saying in my email, I still remember to this day, in my email I was saying that I was freelancing, I was new in the country, and I needed to learn the language and the skills to become a great artist. And I think this triggers something in the people to to feel more compelled to help. And this led to 2 3 projects, quite long, 2 months one month the other. And then I had enough sort of experience to call myself a junior, so I applied it for full-time positions. And that, again, being in UK probably made things easier because I got many. I mean, I don't know, probably the time now is a little bit different, but a few years back, being there, having a strong portfolio, applying to specific people that I knew may need my help, made things easy. Very, very easy for me. I got a lot of offers. I decided that what was working for me, I went there. And, fast forward now, I think I managed to secure companies that were very aligned with what I wanted to do. Arcanine, for instance, that was a great experience because it was extremely aligned with what I wanted to do. Cityscape was another great experience because it was something that I didn't know, if it was exactly what I needed. And I realized that going towards planning definitely wasn't. I mean, I thought in the beginning going, planning applications and more photography based images was more for me. It definitely wasn't. I got really bored, and that, was eye opener. So that, it's I think I would say that this is a good lesson for anyone that is approaching the industry now, that if you have a long-term plan, it's you can tailor your own career towards the long-term plan. It's not easy, but it's doable. Definitely doable.
Yeah, that's true. So long term is, I mean, you already had this dedication that this is the industry I'm going to continue in. Have you had any plan Bs if this don't really work out as
Oof.
I expected? What could be my other option?
This goes back to before architecture. This goes back to when, before going to architecture, I became a tennis instructor, and I always loved teaching. Literally, I always did. It was something I was very interested, and I find it easy. I really find easy to explain things in a more digestible way to people. And while I was doing, freelancing, while I was putting together my own company, this teaching thing came back a little bit in a way. So I decided to start recording videos, doing reviews, helping others. I mean, a few years ago, like 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago, when I decided to start Forma, it's when I decided to be online constantly. So at the time, I was looking a lot at people teaching online or sharing online. And this kind of struck with me. The sharing constantly is something that you give away. You don't know if something comes back, but you give away a lot, as much as you can. And giving away it's almost a relief. It makes you feel well, like with yourself. At least for me, I feel well if I share something. If I'm in the office and I teach someone to do something specific, I feel well. And this kind of goes to the tutoring. I decided to put together tutorials. I started together to puzzle together this experience in um, learning how to do good images, but not good images on the technical side, because technical things you can find them online easily. What is missing in the industry is more understanding why an image works, if an image works, because maybe you're stuck to that image, you think it's working, and one or two things are, could make that 100 times better, but you don't know because you're, stuck to some certain elements. To name one, the standard rule of third, how color works, or either or you don't, how composition can improve your image. Few tweaks that no one can teach you, or they can. It's not that simple. So I decided to actually put together a few courses. Like, one is only based about on art direction, and it's not perfect, maybe, but I think it's very on point for what we do as architecture illustrator, and it is only for illustrations in architecture. So this is something that might be an interesting solution later on to grow that as a I don't know if I would say community, but more as a group where people can enjoy or learn or grow as a community. And I think this is something that kind of lacks in the industry. So yeah, I didn't have this plan, but it grew with me. So it's still growing with me. I don't know if this leads somewhere, but it's
It is worth trying.
yes, 100%, 100%. We'll see, we'll see. So yeah.
Can you probably elaborate a little bit on this term art direction? What
Yeah.
exactly do you mean?
Yeah,
by
yeah.
this? And what is the difference to learning how to compose an image?
Yeah, so I think art direction maybe is not very connected to architecture. It's more connected to photography, cinematography. Everyone that think about cinematography, think about art direction, color direction, framing, all those storylines that puzzle together make a good film, a good movie. This is missing in illustrations in architecture because it's very, very standardized. I don't know how to say, but we have this feeling that setting the camera with the subject on the third is the golden rule that works every time. That's definitely so far from the truth. It's so different than this. Setting a project, setting an image, setting a composition based on the project, but to know the project, you have to, dive deeper into the brief of the client, understand what he wants. It's a lot more than setting the camera with the, thirds correct, the vertical straight, or the frames of the shadows in the foreground. That's, complementary elements that can work, but those are not the only thing that makes a good illustration. And this is basically what we covered during the it's quite condensed because it's a little bit more than 2 hours. It's not very long, but we touch on composition, the rules that make a good architectural illustration, but how to break them and why you should break them most of the times. We talk about colors, we talk about depth and visual hierarchy, again, things that maybe as artists we do, but most of the time it's unconsciously. We know that having depth in an image is correct, but how you do that, or learning and understanding references, why you should use specific references, and more than that, how do you understand if a good reference is the correct one you need? Because this is probably one of the most undervalued thing in the whole industry, like learning to use an actual reference. That's difficult. That's very, very difficult. So yeah, basically I try to condense that as the adjustable things. As I said earlier, I am not a technical person. I hate technical things. I don't definitely like to do technical stuff in the studio. That's why I'm not. But it's more towards artistic things.
Perfect, perfect. I do agree with one thing you said, which is in this industry, it is quite, I would say, these reviews that you are making online. I mean, you have made some posts online, said, post an image, I'm going to give you the reviews. I'm sure like you have received maybe 30, 40 images, you are giving some quick feedback.
Yeah.
I mean, in the days when I was doing Archviz, I literally was missing this personal feedback. Like, for example, if I had some groups of friends that are giving me a feedback, oh, this might really be a little bit off, this might be a little bit off, but I really lacked this structured feedback.
Yeah.
Okay, and in the beginning of all this feedback, between me and my head, was, well, the client is really happy with it. Why should I change it? And why should I listen to that guy? Why should I do this? The structure is not there. And they are looking to the image from their own artistic perspective, which I do really don't know how they formed that experience. So I do really agree with that. And if you make some sort of closed community, giving personal feedback, this is going to help a lot. I mean, me personally, I was getting really huge value when I get into a closed community where the coach or the teacher is going to give me a personalized feedback on my work, not in general. See, so that's why I think this could be a really very solid idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I agree with Lasse. I mean, the term art direction. What I mean, I didn't hear it a lot in the art industry. I know it also from photography, and I mean maybe movie industry. Um, could you talk a little bit about, let's say, that course or that teaching that you have made? How did you structure that? Just briefly, because I do have a lot of questions about the exact situation of Forma.
Yeah. So the course is very straightforward. It is a pre-recorded video where you get the access to the video. You can watch it and rewatch it anytime you want. This is done on purpose because you could do a live video and probably it would be even more interactive. But the thing is, we, all of us as artists, we run a business. Either you're a freelancer, so you run your own business, or we run a company, or we do tons of other things. And most of the times we don't know when to fit a training in. Everyone do trainings. I do constantly trainings, and I'm pretty sure that 99% of the people listening to this is doing a training or is simply watching this tutorial to this podcast to gain something. But having the chance of rewatching things multiple times, it kind of help you to stick with the plan, to grow with that. So it's a pre-recorded video. It's a little bit more than 2 hours. It's divided in modules. So like 2 hours video, and each module can go from 15 minutes to, I don't know, half an hour, let's say. And you see this, that it's very simple to follow because you follow the exact structure of building an image. So you start from research. The research, obviously, that we talk about is only about the references. The research that as artists we do is more about understanding the project. And then from understanding the project, you go into the research of references about mood, the cameras, the angles, the story, and so on. Once we understand the overview of how to understand reference, we move into the actual art direction. So the art direction is literally 4 steps where we touch on camera selections and the main rules. We touch on the rule of third. Don't get me wrong. I'm not against the rule of third. I use it a lot, but I mean, rewinding myself is probably, I'm against that. No, I'm definitely not. But it's not the only thing that we should do. And then we touch on colors. We touch on depth. Again, depth is extremely difficult. And then we touch on visual hierarchy. Depth and visual hierarchy, they go together most of the times. And then it's an overview and a summary of the whole thing. What I've done in the past, it was to have this course that would create a closed community. So this would lead to an actual closed community where we can engage, where we can touch on. Yeah, that's like an overview and a summary of the training. It's fairly simple.
Fairly straightforward. Yeah. Matteo, with Forma, can you describe what kind of projects you are working on?
Yeah.
Usually.
We work pretty much on anything, from the small project to master plan, literally anything. What I would say we're more specialized on is towards competitions. So faster turnarounds, more concept design, early stage designs, where it's all up. I mean, if I would have to say, our strength lays into more emotional things, like more emotional. And when I'm saying emotional, is like connecting the viewer to the actual project. This is where we shine. We can do that really well, and we do that in a way that's seamless. We work with our clients very simply, in a very simple way, with a structured process, and we kind of turn around very quickly images with a rough brief that are convincing as a first draft, and then it goes on into the detailing and refining and improving, and obviously adding as many details as possible. Timeline is a big question marks in the competitions, but it is, if I would have to say, probably competitions and wide master plan projects where it's all about the atmosphere, the mood, the colors, the storyline. This is our strength. This is where I would say that if I had to suggest my skill set, it would be there. So yeah, one thing that's, again, in this project is the most challenging thing is the timeline. We know that very well. It's usually extremely short, and it would be ideally we would have the chance to start the project, well, not even to start the project, but plan ahead very early in the process. And this is something that's not always happening. Most clients get to a very complete design or stage, and then when the remaining timeline is limited, they get in touch. It's fine. We can do that, but obviously planning ahead and having a chance to set this into your schedule, it would be the easiest possible way. So, but again, I know that everyone had this issue in the past with this sort of juggling tons of things, that it feels like you're juggling fire, standing on a unicycle on the edge of a cliff. It's, sometimes we feel like that.
Have you ever missed a deadline?
Oh no, never. No. That's like, but I have to say, stay up all night. I would have to stay up all night, but that's not a chance that we don't meet the deadline. It's that, like, is the biggest and most important thing to me. And I guess, I'm not sure, but I guess this comes from university. In architecture, you're so pushed on every laboratory. You have to meet the deadline of presenting your project, that since when you're in university, that you have to meet the deadline, whatever it takes. You do the night, it doesn't matter. But if you have to meet the deadline, it's more on, it's on a personal thing. I would feel bad if anything would go after the deadline. Literally, I would feel bad.
So there are two things, I think they are linked together. The first thing is equality, the second one is workflow. And anyone who is listening, don't get me wrong about the examples I'm going to give you, but like regarding quality, if I would say 5 is mere quality and 1 is those, I would say, 3D images that are, I mean, that's what I think. It could be wrong, it could be right, but like those 3D cartoonish UK developer style. Okay, this looks like a trend there. From 1 for the UK developer style and 5 is meal. What do you see Forma fit?
I mean, that's a difficult question.
Don't tell me like 3.97.
No. I don't know, because the thing is, it's a personal taste. I'm working on the images. I'm reviewing the images. We're doing the images ourselves. So it's like, and this is something I wrote down on the notes, but everyone has a different personal taste on the images. Yeah. There are things that are a bit less subjective and more objective. So you can understand if an image is well balanced or well composed. Liking an image is extremely personal. I would say that we are not mere style, because again, we have a different style altogether, but we deliver really, really good quality. So I wouldn't say 1, I would say maybe 4, not 5. But we deliver really high quality. And yeah, it's a shame we can't share 99% of the things we do, but it's,
Yeah, I see. And do you have a workflow for delivering that quality?
Yeah,
I think. Do you follow step by step?
Yeah, I think this goes back to the speed and the fast turnaround I was mentioning earlier. when we work on projects, we deliver, especially the first stage that we call sketches or drafts. It comes extremely quickly. And we manage to do this because we study a lot of projects. When we ask for a meeting in the beginning is when we try to unveil every question the client has. And this leads to a very deep understanding of the project that leads to how to set up a camera. That literally, it is like that. If you understand the brief properly, you know what's the best feature of the project is, you know how to make it shine, you know where to put yourself virtually, obviously, but you have to imagine yourself as a photographer walking around the site. If it's a master plan, obviously maybe you fly around. If it's a small development, you stand different corners and you try to understand what works for the project. And we do this really quickly. Let's say that if we get 5 images to do, we do 3 options for each image. But in the end, the client for the first stage would get 15 images. 15 images that in most cases that people see them, might think that these are complete and finished product. We have the lighting, we have the materials, we have the vegetation, we have the people, we have the story. When you get the sketch from us, it's very, very developed. We might say that it's already 70+% developed. And this comes in a few days, 2-3 days. We do this as well because we have a very structured process. So we start with cleaning the model, implementing the vegetation. We do all the 3D work first, then we do the lighting. Once we do the lighting, we do the camera, because the two things goes together. You can't do the lighting without the camera, vice versa. Once we have a camera, we do post-production. We also do post-production for the first stage. The thing is, and it's funny because I posted this a while back on LinkedIn, and I got attacked in a way that was like people thinking that I was doing abortive work. It's true. It's very true.
What they are thinking?
Abortive work.
Abortive work.
Yeah, it's 100% true. If I deliver 15 images for 5 images project, I wasted 10 images. Literally, I threw them in the bin. But what people don't understand is that if I do this, client will feel more safe, more involved, will feel more connected to the project. Maybe they think an image works, but maybe what we suggested is better. So the 5 images the client wants, we do them with the corner that the client wants. But all the 10 images on top are things that we provide, that we think are best, because we think we're the perfect consultant for them. And we try to guide them into the process. Maybe they fall in love with their project. That's very common. If you provide something that's completely fresh and new, they might reconsider things. And this is, to me, it's not abortive work. This to me is, why I'm here. Literally, this is the reason why I'm trying to help clients to get the best out of the project. And in my opinion, getting the best out of the project is not sticking to something specific and going with exactly what they want. Is to suggest them what I believe works for that specific project. And why do I know that? Because I'm external and I know architecture. I deeply love architecture, but I'm not in love with the project. I just came into the process last week, so it's kind of a fresh take. So yeah, it is very structured, the process, but it's very smooth as well. So we adapt depending on the client, depending on the needs, depending on the timeline, because obviously if we have 2 weeks to provide 5 images, maybe we cannot do the 15 options. We do 10 or we do 7. It depends. It really depends. So having a process that makes things easier for our clients is our end goal. And from that point, we go backwards. So we try to trace a path for them that makes things as smooth as possible without giving frictions or stress or whatsoever. We are trying to lift. We're trying to lift the stress from our clients, not adding it.
Making their life easier.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Perfect. So you would probably see yourself more like a consultant.
100%.
Than an order taker.
Oh yeah, 100%. If we can avoid if we can avoid a fixed thing where the client is leading 100% the outcome, we do that. I mean, we understand this is sometimes if the client is very keen to have something, there 90% of the time there is a reason. But we try to go a little bit deeper, understand which is the reason, how we can find and offer a different solution, and we try our best to provide options, because again, and this comes from experience, but when a client says that wants a blue sky, this is not the reason. This is not the reason is not that the skies makes the things nicer. Maybe the reason is because the blue sky is more calming, and they help to sell the property faster, because people that see a project and they can immerse themselves into feeling calm and relaxed, make things easier. But blue sky means not really necessarily calm atmosphere. You can achieve a calm atmosphere setting a camera that is more private, more close. It really depends. So yeah, that's why I would say that with 100% more consultant than auto taker.
Okay, great. So I have a question about, I mean, Forma Studio, you formed it like since 1.5 years, 1 year. Um, how big is Forma now today? It's you. How many people are with you? Are you looking to grow?
Yeah.
How do you manage big projects?
So we're a relatively small studio because we're two, solid two, and depending on the complexity of the project, we take on board people for specific timeline or specific projects. And we try to tailor the skills of the freelancers that we work with based on a project we work on. So we may need some 3D modeling assets, or more animations, or more image making. So it kind of, I'm trying to build a pool of freelancers that can help us in the long run when we need it. But at the same time, I'm trying to grow the studio as full-time people in the studio. So right now I'm hunting, I'm looking for the perfect fit for us. And it would be, right now I'm looking more for an artist able to pick up projects right away, able to work independently but as a team. I mean, most of the things that most studios need. So independent but able to work on his own, able to have an overview of the project on its own, able to learn, able to grow, to teach. I'm not looking for someone that is far from the studio. I want someone that may join for a specific period of time in the studio, only because I want to create some sort of bonding. And being remote is great. I worked remote in the past, but it's very impersonal, especially if you join a studio. If you join a studio, you have to be in the studio for a limited time at least, but you have to do this bonding, growing with the studio, trying to teach, because otherwise it's very, I mean, I'm trying to create a studio that is growing slowly. I don't want to grow to 50 people at once, but the people that join the studio have to be to kind of create this sort of close community on its own. It has to grow on its own, and it should be independent as the studio without me being on top of everything at once. Yeah. Okay, so if anyone out there is looking for a studio like Forma, is able to work on things on his own, skills in animations are a plus. You have a striking portfolio, because that the major thing we value. Please send me an email. I'm gonna leave the caption in the post, and I'm really looking forward to get good artists to join us, because we're growing as a studio. So I want to become a little bit more, expand a little bit the team as well. Yeah.
Perfect. So I think we covered most of the points. You talked about your workflow, specialization. I would say you said competition more into those type of Archviz. Um, you are looking to grow. Great, amazing. You're looking for freelancers, so anyone who is watching, really apply for Mateo's office.
Yeah.
Um, what else we spoken about? We've spoken about history, how you formed everything. It's very important to notice that all of this did not really happen overnight. It was completely pushed through the stone, I would say, using Matthew's passion. I mean, your passion is really important.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you would really give up
Yeah.
since a while.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And yeah, I mean, for me, I literally have no questions left. Do you have any questions for me, for the audience, for Lasse as well?
If I would have to ask something, is from a business standpoint of view, looking at my experience, looking where I'm from in terms of freelancing, how I started, and things like this, what both of you would have done differently, or what's more on, what have you done would have in your mind to grow faster as a studio or as a freelancer, because obviously everyone has a different take, to make things happen a bit faster. Because again, it took me years to figure out even just where I wanted to go. Again, this is not something someone can do that for you. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure that I missed a few things along the way. Maybe you can both give your opinion on this.
Yeah, I mean, probably there is always something to learn, and you would probably never know everything. So, and from what I know about your vita, is that I think you're at the right spot at the moment in your career to go from that, and growing slowly is actually, from my experience, the best way to have it kind of sustainable. Also, the way that I mean, you just the way you grew into your first positions probably would also be the best way how people could grow into Forma, like taking on juniors and letting them grow with you. That would be, I think, probably also getting them into your workflow, your structure, your way of thinking, your way of creative work. I mean, it's always very specific from studio to studio, and I think that's a good way to have people joining in a very early stage of their career, probably as a junior, and staying with you for a few years to grow for them. To grow for them. It's good for them and also for you. It's basically a win-win situation then.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
I agree totally with what Lasse said. Yeah, I mean, there is no stage where you say I know everything. I mean, there is something always missing. I'm going to learn. What I would have done in your stage, I would repeat the things you have made in the UK, because I had like this experience multiple times, which is I do find that online client acquisition is a little bit weak. It's not really personal. And we are in a very hyper personalized industry.
Yeah.
I mean, it means you do something for one client, one project, point.
Yeah.
Ready. I mean, you cannot really use it. You can resell it. Sometimes you cannot even show it.
Yeah.
So, from my personal experience, for example, I had two changes in my life. They were really drastic changes. When I moved from Syria to Lebanon, although we are neighbors, we speak the same language, the mindset was different. And in that case, I literally made a map. I pointed people. Okay, I started daily going to them, knocking on the door, making appointments, even either in the now or making appointments for later. And that was 2013. And that brought me a lot of clients. not in the now, but everyone saw me. They saw what I do, and I had my portfolio printed. I have never sent my portfolio online. That was in Lebanon, and that secured me for 3 years. Then I moved to Germany, and when I came to Germany, someone does not really speak German, only English, and you would like to be active, okay? So I literally tried to connect with the most amount of people I can. And similarly to your story, when you went to the UK and you said you are enthusiastic and you would like to grow, you would like to start, like there is some positive energy about asking people for help. Okay,
Yeah.
some people really don't feel like I don't like to be needy. I don't like to be appear like I am really in need for a job. My friend, you are starving. You should ask. I mean, if you don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah.
And that has happened here in Germany as well. I mean, if I didn't ask, I wouldn't really get to where I am now. And that was very important and crucial. And for this, I mean, in case if I were you, I started, okay, let's say I'm going to start a studio today, okay? I will define a city, see who are the people there. I will book a flight, okay? I will start ask them all to book an appointment online, and I will book a flight and go there. It might seem a little bit expensive, but like think about it. Let's take Dubai as an example, okay? Dubai is a big city, but like okay, there are like hundreds of business. They
Yeah.
all might need your service. I would pick 100, literally trying at least to find 25 people who might agree on meeting. Okay, a flight to Dubai, both ways, it could cost 1,000. Accommodation there, it could cost maybe 3,000. Okay, in total, you are not spending more than 10,000 on that trip, meeting people, sending your portfolio imprint, and shaking hands, taking photos. Uh, at least you will secure 1 to 2 projects from this trip. 1 to 2 projects in our industry, it could be
Of
50 to
course.
100K.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I mean, most of people don't really understand. And they try, okay, I will make all possible freeways. Yeah, do all possible freeways. However, the most effective ways in client acquisition is to be there. The second one is to get referral. The third one is to call them. The fourth one is to have them in a video meeting. Then maybe sending them something physical. And then is like maybe an email or social proof or like social online, I mean, like your network, for example.
Yeah.
That's something you could also consider for the future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's something I really. I showed you an example about someone who has made it in different countries, um, and I think this is going to be a very possible solution.
Yeah, absolutely, and very interesting as well. I'll definitely think about that because it's, as you said, probably something that's lacking a lot in terms of the industry as a whole. It would be interesting to put that in practice. So definitely, thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching. If you know Matteo, I will put the link to his profile. Also, you know Lasse, and I will put a link to his profile. If you have any questions, reach out to him.
100%, please, guys, do.
Thank you very much. Lassie, would you like to have a last sentence for this show?
Goodbye.
That was deep.
That's the German way. Goodbye. That's it. Cheers. Goodbye.
Ciao.
Today I have a very special guest. It's Mario.
Where's Luigi?
It's me. And that's without the beer. It was amazing. By the way, I had some problems spelling the name.
Matteo Mario.
Matteo Mario,
Matteo
all's
Mario.
good. I mean, Matteo Mario could really work, but like Lasse Ferrari,
Lasse Ferrari might be more
that might be
challenging.
challenging.
It's more towards statistic things.